Okay, we're going to the page 170. We're going to talk about difference in earnings. We're talking about wages, labor market, what it makes some people earn that much money, what are the factors that make your salary be very, very high or very low, and which factors we can rely. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to go difference in earnings. The factors which determine the wage. Okay, the main one and the most important factor which is going to specify how much you will earn by per month will be the rule of supply and demand. So it will be demand and supply. So the transactions between demand and supply, or the relations ever changing between demand and supply, they are going to determine what is going to be your salary. Demand and supply of their labor. Okay, we have demand and supply. Everyone understand that concept, right? So I'll give you an example, real life. Today, what is a sector in economy which has a high demand and is never stop growing sector? That it keeps growing and growing. Which one would be? In demand. What do we need nowadays? Every time. And it gets better. Internet. High demand. Who works in internet? Yeah, okay. What kind of professionals? Programmers. Web designers. So before it used to be a huge demand, and the supply was the people able to work in the computer. So what is the percentage of the population, let's say back 10 years ago, who was able to develop an application or to perform any task in internet, or create a website, or develop a website, or digital, I don't know what else, like using Photoshop programs? Not many of them, right? So at that time, if you were a web developer, because it was a huge demand, because the world becoming computerized, your salary, you may expect a salary very high, because many companies, they need people to create their websites, because they know there is business there. However, when I turn to the labor market, the supply, I see there is no such people, or many people with such skills. So at that time, the salary for people working in the web programming world, internet, for example, it was a high demand or high supply a few years ago? Michael? Yeah. High demand or high supply? And supply not so high as the demand. So then it will result in a lower or higher salary. We have a high demand and not so strong supply.
High salary.
High salary. What is going on nowadays? What is the tendency in the web programming world? We can see that now there is still a huge great demand for these experts or professionals in this field of web programming and web designing. But what is going on is also the supply is increasingly dramatically. What it means, like a few years ago, almost no people could create a website. Now even your 12 years old neighbor can create a website. And there are programs. What is this program to create websites? Very famous nowadays. If you want to create a website, there is a program. A website. Then you create your own website. I totally forget now the name. What was the name?
Website.
Do you know, Rachel? A website where you enter? Well, there is a website. You don't have to have any single idea about programming. Me, when I have no idea of programming, I can just go into this website and create my own website using templates. Very easy. Which one? Wix is what? But there is one which is much more useful and much more blogspot. It used to be for blogs, and there is one now that everyone uses when we want to create a website, but it's not that one. It's even much more famous and popular. Okay, we have those websites. So now there are so many people which is able to create their own websites. Now you can make a course online, and in 1 month you become a web designer. So the demand is still high, but the supply, and you have websites where people can hire web developers not from your own country, but you can hire a guy from Philippines or from China. So there is a lot more competition. I can handpick someone to make my website. And the benefits are increasing also. There is more competition between people in the supply market. So, what is going on now with the salaries in the web developing world, in the web programming sector? What's going on with the salaries? What is the tendency of those salaries? To increase or to decrease? Say again? Why? Decrease. Still we have high demand. Many people, but now many people want to have the same job. So there are so much people to choose between. So before you have 10 guys in the world, let's say, like super exaggeration, who can do this job. And now you have 100,000. So if this one cannot do for that salary, the next one will do it. And it's no regulation on it, because you can hire someone in internet to do your website who lives everywhere in any part of the world, can be. So you can hire someone remotely, and that has changed also the rules of the game. And now there is a tendency in this market to the salaries to go down. Let's put a different example. Let's talk about doctors. So we have to say why salary of the doctors is so high. Who can reply that question? Exactly. So if it's hard to become a doctor, it's going to have an effect on the demand or in the supply. You will say what? Supply, but you know why? Okay, demand for work is companies. Supply is workers. Remember, the supply of labor is the potential workers. So you are the supply guys if you try to find a job. What is the demand? If I'm an entrepreneur, I need to hire someone. So the demand is the company looking for someone to work. So now, if there is very high obstacles, or it's difficult to get the training to become a doctor, or it's very prolonged in the time, it's very likely the amount of doctors per capita is going to be very low. So we have a low supply because nobody is willing to spend 10 years to become a doctor, and it's very expensive. So if you're a doctor, you will have a good salary because it's difficult to find someone else to do your job. Besides that, if you want to become a doctor, it's not so easy. Like in this country, I have no job, I go to some other country. It's not that easy, right? So a Spanish doctor cannot go to work in Sweden. First, you have to know the language. And you have to be able to legally work in this country. It's easier in the European Union, easier, but still we have huge problem with the language barrier. So it's not so easy, like let's say like in the digital world, if I need someone, a photographer, to make a job, my job, I can hire from anywhere in the world. You go to email, say, okay, you pay him by PayPal, you can pay someone anywhere in the world. You can pay a guy in India, you can pay a guy in Bangladesh, you can pay a guy in Norway. So you're going to pick up the one who can do the same job and much cheaper, at a cheaper price. But what about if you're a doctor? You cannot hire a doctor online. At least nowadays, it's not so common. It may become common, but not nowadays. So you have to go to the doctor in your city. The person must live there. So if I'm a Spanish doctor and I have no enough hospitals, so the salaries are low in Spain, I cannot just say, goodbye, I go to England. No. Do you speak English? Oh, no. So, do you have English education? No. Are you legally allowed to work in my country? Maybe not. If you come from South America, you want to work in Europe, it's very, very difficult to get there unless you're highly qualified. So it makes very difficult. Do you understand, guys? Supply and demand. Kevin? Demand and supply, do you understand? Okay, why, for you, why a cleaner, Normally, a waiter had a low salary. According to the demand and supply law of the markets. Okay, so it's easy to become a waiter. You can become a waiter tomorrow, you need just 1 day training, right? It's what is supposed to be called a qualified job. It's easy to pick up on the skills. So what will be the effect if it's easy to become a waiter? It will have an effect on the demand or the supply. Michael, it's easy to become a doctor, it will have an effect on demand or supply.
It's not easy to be a doctor.
No, I'm not talking about doctor. If you want to become a waiter. Waiter.
Yeah, I know.
So it's easy. So everyone can become a waiter.
Supplies.
So the supply. Daniel, what don't you understand here? Supply is about worker. Demand, companies. So if I'm talking that if you want to become a waiter, everyone can be a waiter, we are talking about what? The company or the workers? So then we're talking about supply. Now, why the salary still is low? What happened in order to the price to be low? The supply must be higher than the demand, or the demand must be higher than supply. You want a low price. Yeah. If you want the prices to go down, you have to increase the supply. And more the supply surpass the demand, or much higher the supply according to the demand is, lower the prices will be. So now, then, if we want to talk about the salaries of waiters to be very low, it means that the supply for waiters must be higher than the demand, or the demand higher than the supply, in order to have a low salary. Kevin? Kevin, we're here. So, supply higher or lower than demand in the waiter market? Supply higher or lower? Exactly. So higher supply makes the salary go down. Why? Exactly. Guys, close your eyes. Imagine you have supplies higher than demand. Use your imagination. And then Rachel is the only restaurant here. Okay? Rachel has a restaurant. She needs waiter people. She needs people to work in her restaurant. And then you 4 guys, you are a waiter. You can be a waiter. She needs to hire someone among you, just one person. She can pick up among you 4 guys. Now imagine different situation. Rachel has a restaurant. Kevin has a restaurant. Michael has a restaurant. And all of them, they need a waiter. 3, they need 1 waiter. And you guys, 2, you are a waiter. Where is going to be the salary higher? In which situation? This will be a question for you. Daniel. What don't you understand? You have to use your imagination. Close your eyes. Okay? Close your eyes. Now, you imagine Rachel in the middle of class, and I see she has a restaurant, and she say, I need a waiter, I need a waiter, I need a waiter. And you say to her, I'm a waiter. You say to her, I'm a waiter. You say to her, I'm a waiter. I say, I only need 1. So what's going to happen then? She can pick up among 4 of you guys. Let's say that I say, you Michael, you come to my restaurant. I give you 20,000 bucks. And then you want the job, right? So you're going to tell her, hey, Rachel, don't take him. I do for 15. And then Kevin will say, no, I will do for 12,000. Because she can pick up among 4. Do you understand? Now, imagine different situation. Now, before it was one restaurant, Rachel's restaurant. Now I have Rachel's restaurant, Kevin's restaurant, Michael's restaurant. Guys, please stop with that. You have 3 restaurants and just 2 waiters. All of them, they need 1 person to work. So they need 3, but you are 2. What is going to happen? The salary will be higher or lower than in the previous situation? Higher. Why is higher? Why? Guys, you have to learn to speak in economical terms. Because demand is higher than supply. Say that, please. Okay, the demand, who are the demand? The restaurants or the people who can be waiters? Okay, who is the supply? Okay, so if just 2 waiters and 3 restaurants, the demand is higher than the supply, or the other way around. Okay, good. So then the tendency is with less workers available to pick up and to hire, they will be willing to pay you a good salary or higher in order to pick you. Because you know that if Rachel doesn't pay you enough money, you can go to Kevin's restaurant or Michael's restaurant. And you know that if there is just 1 restaurant and you have like 100 people who wants to become a waiter, they will beat up each other in order to get the job and be able to work for less and less money. That's what is happening in the digital world. Before, if you want to hire someone to build your website, you go to the neighbor. You know 3-4 people to build your website. Now you go to a website called Upwork, you put digital nomad, web designer, web programmer, and you have a list by country. By country. So now if I'm from America, instead of paying an American guy an American salary, which is going to be higher, I go to internet and I hire a guy in Bangladesh who do the same job than an American guy for 10 times the price of an American guy. So of course the tendency is to go down in salaries because there is more and more supply. Now it's always the case that demand and supply, they are gonna fully determine the salary and the price of the services and goods. That's a question. Yes or no? Rachel? No. Who says yes? Guys, I want you here in class, please. Most of you. I know you know, but I want you in class. Again, the question. Listen to me, please. It's always going to be the case that the supply and demand law of the market is going to fully determine the price and salaries of the workers. Yes or no? No? Yes or no? Okay, you have to explain why it's no. No, why is no, Rachel? Exactly. Other factors, not as important as this one, but they can just wait or promote. The government can promote measures in order to increase salaries or to decrease salaries. We can protect the workers or we can liberalize the sector so the entrepreneurs are able to pay any salary without information from the government, for example, or any trade union. So other factors. Okay, what other factors are? Okay. Other influences, trade unions. Government policies. Public opinion, discrimination. Okay, there are many, but the 2 most important ones are those 2. So we have the difference in earnings. Mostly it's going to be the market, because at the end of the day, we live in a free market economy. So the market is the one which is going to point the salaries. The market will determine the salaries and prices of the goods, depending or relying on the interaction between these 2 variables, demand and supply. Demands go up, the prices go up. Demand of workers go up and supply keeps fixed. The price or the salary of a worker will go up. If we have an equilibrium level and all of a sudden there is an increase of the supply, meaning an increase of workers available to do the same job, the salaries will go down. That will be the market forces determine the prices and salaries. If I have a lot of people to pick up to work in my company, I will pick up the one which can become cheaper and it's also efficient. Good relation, quality, price. Also for workers, people sell their job, their labor skills. The other way around, if we have demand and supply and all of a sudden there is an increase in demand in technology or in healthcare or in education, a country after a war, it needs a lot of teachers because they flee the country. So the country has a good government, it's becoming it's becoming quite rich, it's growing in a good path, and it's safe. Then the government is going to say, okay, now we need the schools and we need teachers. And then the main problem they found in these countries is that they are starting to rebuild themselves, but they have no teachers and institutions and infrastructures. So in order to attract teachers, they will put a high price, a high salary. So there is a demand, but the supply is low. So then you hire. Then when there is a lot of demand, the demand goes up, rises up. The salaries also rises up. Okay, guys, please now, is anyone here who does not understand the relation or interaction between demand and supply and the consequences in price or salaries? Do you understand? Sure. Do you understand, guys?
Yes.
Yes? Now, let's go to the other factors. If it is true that demand and supply will finally determine the price and salaries in an economy in a certain country, the other factors here, trade union and government policy, how do they impact on people's salary, on labor's market? Anyone can explain to me? Or have an idea? Michael. Explain how trade unions and government policies can have an effect on wage. Or you? Anyone? Come on, guys. I need participation. No sleepy. If you start to be sleepy, I don't put videos anymore. I just go class.
If trade union is strong,
Okay.
companies cannot hire or lower the wage.
Trade unions can low down the price or increase the salary. That's what you mean?
If trade union is strong, they will like try to buy with the company.
Bargain. They will bargain.
Bargain with company if they are not treated well, like they are fired or they are getting our.
Daniel, what is a trade union? Michael, trade union, what is this?
Trade union is how the salary is higher.
That's what they do, but what does it mean, trade union? What a trade union is? If you don't, you have to understand the concept. Then it makes sense. Why the reason trade unions exist? What is the main aim of the trade unions? Exactly. Prevent workers from being mistreated, mispaid, or work in bad conditions. Do you understand? Okay, trade union is a group of workers that they join each other, they partner each other, they agree with each other to work under certain circumstances. So imagine, again, imagination. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a factory, and you are the workers. And I see that I'm not selling that much. I'm greedy, or I want to increase my benefits. or maybe the economies go bad and my benefits are going down, and I want to push this lack or this loss of benefits on the shoulders of my workers. They want me, I want to keep being able, having good margin benefit, but the price, my volume of sales went down. So I don't want to pay for it. What I can do is just reduce your salary so I can keep earning the same margin benefit and also lower down the price of my goods. But there is a limit under which the conditions, the working conditions, are meant to be inhuman. Meaning working long hours, paying low salary, maybe it can also have an effect on your health. So I say, hey guys, the salary was 10 euros per hour. Now, sorry guys, we're not selling much. I don't want to fire people from my company. So all of you want to continue working in my company, yes or no? What will you say, yes or no? You say yes, you have children, you have a family. So if people say, I'm going to fire you, are you okay with it? You say, yes, why not? Yeah, fire me. No, you say yes, you want to keep working. It's okay, you want to keep working, you want to keep your job, you want to pay your taxes, you want to pay your fees, you want to pay your house. Okay, so sorry guys, if you want to keep working for me, I'm going to decrease the salary to 8 euros. So how can you fight that against me? How can you push me to keep my salary in 10 euros and not 8? This question is for you, huh? Because I know you struggle to understand the meaning. How do you do that, Daniel? Say again? A strike? Okay, I do a strike. Who is going to make a strike? Yeah? But do you have influence on them? Maybe you say you go strike, and next day you are just alone. Like, hey, please, high salaries. And then I say, okay, Daniel, goodbye. I will just work with these 4 guys. So you can go by your own. So how will you do? Are you strong by yourself? So what do you need? What do you need? You need make one. So now you are just a group of workers dispersed, no union, no communication between you guys. You cannot fight an entrepreneur. The only way you can do is just when you engage in some commitment to push, to blackmail, let's say, the entrepreneur. You say, okay, if you want any of us to work, you have to pay 10 euros. So you make one, meaning you make one group. So none of you will accept less than 10 euros. So if I say I give you 8, you say no. If I say to Michael 8, you will say no. And if I say each one of you 8, you will say no, because previously you met and you put in you agreed in just keep working after certain measures has been implemented by the company. Either you do it, either no one of us will work. That's why you need trade unions. You need organized organizations where the workers work in the company, they represent the voices of the workers to fight against the entrepreneur. Because one by one, you cannot do it. If you say no to the job, I don't care because I have more people working for me. Do you understand the concept? That's why trade unions, they are necessary because they can push entrepreneurs to respect certain measures of work and certain levels of security, certain levels of safety and welfare. So trade unions, they usually do is push to keep the salaries high or even to increase the salaries if they are low. Now, do you understand, Daniel? The same functions led by the trade unions can be also be implemented by the government through government policies. For example, in my country, the government says the minimum salary. Daniel, the minimum salary is 7 euros. The minimum salary in Australia is, I guess, is $20, $18, I think. So nobody in Australia will hire you legally under $18. So if you are an entrepreneur, you cannot find anyone to work for that amount of money because it's illegal. So the government can increase this amount in order to increase the life conditions of people. the growth, to improve the welfare of the country. Because in a fully free market, where there is no rule, there is no the government trying to help, what happens is that in some sectors, where there is a huge supply, like cleaners, and the demand is not so high, the entrepreneurs can take advantage of this situation and push salaries down. So I will always try to find someone cheaper, until I get someone who pays, I have to pay 3 euros per hour, and just he subsists. He lives in misery. So I pay almost no money to people. Do you understand that? So the government say no. There is a minimum in order to respect the human rights. Because some people some people they are desperate. They need any job, and they will be able to take any job at any price, at any rate, because they have no savings, they have a child. There is people in this world desperate, they are in very bad situations, they have pressure, and they will be able to do a job for peanuts. The government doesn't want to accept those conditions, where the people has to work in very bad situation because they are desperate. That will be taking advantage of people, a kind of social blackmail. So government say no, there is a minimum. So that will keep a decent salary. So people who is working in Australia for $18 minimum, they will able at least to pay their house, not keep in debt, have a certain life quality. But if you don't agree on those terms, that you put in place these practices, you might find a country where the salaries go down, and nobody protects the worker. So they have to sell their services for almost no price. And who is getting the big piece of cake? The entrepreneur who is selling your services. That's why it's very important, those ones. So even it's true, or while it's true that demand and supply mostly is going to precise what your salary will be, demand and supply, then you can put in place by government or by trade unions certain measures to avoid blackmail situations or inequality situations in the job market, where the entrepreneurs take advantage of the workers. But also we must be careful, because if we increase too much the salary, what happens? Say again?
The enterprise.
Before bankrupt, they will do something. So, okay, I make my numbers. I know I can work paying $18. Cleaners in Australia, they usually earn the minimum salary. Got it. Cleaners in Thailand, in Australia, minimum salary $18. Okay. So I open a company, laundry, for example, or cleaning company in Australia. I have some money that I saved working in this school. I go to Australia, I pay my business, and I hire 2 Australians, and I pay them $18 per hour. I can manage my business with $18 per hour. I still can get customers, and I can still charge a good rate or price for it, and I can make a living. And then the government or the trade unions, they agreed that $18 per hour is not enough to support the Australian standard life quality. So those workers, they ask for more money. Well, there has been some agreement, there have been some meetings, and at the end the government and the trade unions agreed that the salary will go up to $25 per hour, meaning that those workers that I have already, I cannot pay them anymore $18, but I have to increase my fee and I have to pay them $25. And then I make numbers and I say, okay guys, look, if I pay you $22, a bit more than 18, I can still survive and I can still make money, and I will be able to keep my amount of workers. But if you put the price to 25, I cannot pay that much. What is going to happen if they don't accept and they push me to increase the salary to $25 per hour? What I will do? What will you do, guys? Kenny, what will you do? Increase what? Okay, that will be a good idea. So I have workers that say, okay, I'm going to try. So before I was paying $18 and I was charging a certain amount of money. Now I have to pay 25. So in order to make benefit, I have to increase the price of my cleaning services. But then I increase the price and then I lose clients because they don't want to pay me that much. What I have to do? Then I have to go down again the prices. What I'm going to do? I will fire people sometimes, yeah. So there is many experts agreeing that if you push up the salaries a certain amount, which is much higher than the market price. So there is the market price, so the salary according, like there is a salary, equilibrium salary, resulting from the transaction between these two, demand and supply. If I increase much higher the salary, very, very much higher, I'm not careful with it, yeah, the workers will increase their salary. But then many people will lose their jobs. And it's also bad in two ways, because if you lose your job, when you try to find another job, it's going to be difficult because the minimum salary is too high. So if you're not a very skilled worker or unqualified and you have no experience enough, it will be more difficult to you to get back into the labor market because not many entrepreneurs will be able or willing to hire you at such price, such range. Because I have to pay you $25 now. Do you understand, guys? Yes or no? Yes? So, demand and supply, initially, and most important, they will tell you which is going to be the equilibrium price and the equilibrium salary in a free market. But always, we talked before in the market economic systems that we don't live in a completely free market, neither a planned economy, central plan, but something between. So yeah, we follow a market economic system, but with some connotations or some differences. And this is one of them. The government can intervene in the market. Actually, in the most part of the countries in the world, the government has something to say about salaries because it's a very sensitive topic. Because you don't want to live in a country where people work for peanuts and where entrepreneurs pay almost very low salaries, will increase the gap between riches and poor people. So you keep having poor people working for very low salaries, and then the rich people keep making grow in their pockets. And when some of the workers say, look, my salary is not enough. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay my children go to school. You say, I'm so sorry. This is all I can pay for you. Because you want to keep the fair margin benefit. But then you don't do that. What you do, workers, is you agree each other and you say, no, you have no option. Either you increase the salary or nobody works in your company. Then you will see that many of the entrepreneurs, they will say, okay, I will increase your salary. Because they have no option. So you have to find an equilibrium of forces between free market and intervention. So if you intervene too much and you push up the prices so much, you can create unemployment. That's the case in my country. In my country, in Spain, for example, why the unemployment doesn't reduce very much? Because we live what is called in a very static labor market. It means that if you want to hire someone in Spain, it's expensive. So, for example, if I want to hire a Spanish guy to work in my company, I have to pay 40% taxes for him. I don't pay just a salary to him, but I also have to pay money to the government to hire him. And also, if he's not good at his job and I have to get rid of him, I have to tell him with 1 month, and every year he has been working, I have to pay him extra 20 days per year. So it's very expensive to hire someone. So people, entrepreneurs, they will think twice before they hire someone. So if it's difficult and expensive to hire someone, what's going to happen? It will be a high unemployment or low unemployment? High unemployment. But what happens now in the market? The Spanish government say, look, we have to dynamize the labor market. We have to make it more pragmatic, moving around, easy to quit and leave a job and hire people. Not too much, how do you say in English? Not too many or too much hassle or obstacles. We don't have to disturb the labor market. So what you do is like, guys, you deal yourself with your jobs a bit. So now, if you hire someone, you don't have to pay me for any worker. And if you want to get rid of a worker, you have to say just 1 month in advance and almost no pay money for him or for her. So then, me, Ramon, which is working in Spain and I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a cleaning company, I will say, look, hey, now I can hire Rachel and I don't have to pay to the government money for you. So you are cheaper. I pay your salary, but I don't have to pay to the government money. And also, if you're not good, and I have to fire you after 2 years, I don't have to give you any money. I just say to you in 1 month previously, sorry, Rachel, you don't fit in our position, so please just find a different job. And then I will be able to hire people because I don't have much to lose, but I love to win. Then people in Spain will start to hire more people, and then employment will decrease. The main problem in Spain is that we have a very high rate of unemployment in the young people. So, okay, still you can find a job in Spain. But the one suffering in Spain, the one who has the worst part in the Spanish economy is young people. If you are in Spain between 18 and 25 years old, you have no education, you didn't go to the school. Your parents are not rich. This profile, not well educated, didn't do your tertiary education, and you are young, most 50%, hey guys, 50%, half of the young people has no job between 18 and 25. Which is horrible, has a tremendous effect on the economy. So who is paying all that? The government is paying this, subsidizing these people which is unemployed. And in the long run, the effects will be very bad because those workers, they don't have even a way to get out of that situation. So that's when you make too much regulation. If you regulate very much the market and you push up the prices much and you collect taxes for every single step in the hiring process of a worker, you disincentivize entrepreneurs to hire people. So then it goes back against the economy. So you have to find the equilibrium.